So what we're hoping for is that it's one of those scenarios here on our left, right? And then either, you know, 2 small, or could be 3 small here on our right. Now, of course, the second scenario is great because we get our sense of relief early if we have cashed our king first and then led toward the ace jack, because now the queen appears and we know we need to cover it and we know we're probably home at this point, right? When we play king and we see small one, because no reason for this person to put in the queen, that's when we put in the jack and begin the prayer session of this hand, right? Now, sometimes we end up with a scenario, and you know, I know people like to ask, and even sometimes I ask, even if I'm sorry I asked, that we get into a situation where we take our finesse, right? And we play the king, and then we lead toward the jack, and we lose to the queen. And then at the end of the hand, you look at your opponent and you say, was that doubleton queen? Mm-hmm. And they say, yeah. Oh, I could have made this hand. Technically, yes. Double dummy, you could have made the hand. When you pick up your hand record, it will tell you that you could have made the hand. But you're taking an anti-percentage play to make the hand. So, you know, part of the, you know, and I know it's frustrating when these scenarios come up and you're playing, but the thing is, you're playing the odds, right? You know, you have to go with the percentages, and you understand that occasionally this person you're sitting over the dummy with queen doubleton that you technically could have picked up, that you pay off to that you are sometimes going to lose to queen doubleton. You are sometimes going to lose to offside king singleton in the same way, right? And yeah, you can, you know, with your hindsight, you can say, oh, you know, I should have played it that way. No, you shouldn't have. You know, if there was no indication from the bidding, you took the percentage play. And the thing is, and it's this, you know, this business of, you know, empty spaces here, of you know, that are filled by the missing cards in the trump suit, okay?
What is that percentage? Because it's not the 68%. It's like maybe half of that. The queen
Well,
sits in the.
so a finesse, you know, just kind of in a vacuum, for a finesse to work, in theory, it's 50-50, right? Equally likely, with either opponent holding the same number of cards, it's equally likely for either opponent to hold that missing card. So any finesse, you know, absent bidding from the opposition is straight up 50-50. All right. With 5 cards missing in the suit and one opponent having, you know, 3 and the other having 2, which of your opponents is more likely to hold the queen? Well, this person over here, right? Because the queen could be in any one of these 3 empty spaces, and there's only 2 spaces over here where it could be. So, and I don't remember the exact percentage. I think it's around, it's in the like 38 to 40% range, I think. Maybe less than that. What is the likelihood that you would drop queen doubleton? Well, I mean, in the world of statistics, you know, that's a significant difference. 40% versus 50% may not sound like a lot, but it actually is. And so it is more likely that you will find the queen on side, as we say, than it is likely that you will drop the queen doubleton. And so that's why we finesse. We're playing the percentages. They're not always going to be right.
But isn't there a 50% chance that the queen tripleton is offside?
Well, of course, if this person over here has queen third, there was nothing you could do about that, right?
Right.
Theoretically, if we're taking the normal finesse, right? I mean, we're not looking at, you know, some, you know, weird, you know, say weird situations where, well, again, and I didn't give you the 10 and the 9 here. You know, sometimes people will do something like, that make kind of a strange play, like, okay, they come to the dummy and then they run the jack, and then they get the queen covered over here, and then they can pick it up. But then, now, does that do you any good? Well, if you're missing the 10 and the 9, and one of those cards gets promoted, it doesn't help you at all. So, so yeah, so we're just playing, we're just going purely with percentages on this, and, you have to be willing to, pay off when there's a holding that you could have picked up and didn't, but it doesn't mean that you did the wrong thing in your line of play. And that's why sometimes if people, they'll play a hand, they'll miss a game, they'll come up to me, they pick up their hand record at the end of the game and say, "Oh, we could have made 4 spades on board 7. How do we make this?" And I look at the hand and I'm like, "I don't think you want to be in 4 spades." "Well, yeah, but it says it makes." I'm like, "Yeah, and 3 finesses worked and you dropped this king, this singleton king offside and all that." I'm like, you had to see through the backs of the cards, and if you had made this game, you might be arousing a little bit of suspicion in your opponents because you truly played this thing double dummy, as we say. You took plays that are not percentage plays and they all worked. That looks a little weird.
When you have it like an ace in the dummy and a king in your hand, do you sometimes lead like from your hand low just to see if it's going to drop, and then take it with the ace and then come back with the king?
In an ideal world, I think you do want to be in the habit of leading toward your honors as opposed to banging down your honors. Now, in some situations, it's absolutely critical, right? Like, let's say we're looking at, and this is again a form of finesse, a situation like this, right? Where you have 3 little cards in your hand and you have king third in dummy. All right, well, that situation could be 3 losers, right? As soon as if your king gets covered by the ace when you play on that suit, you're losing 3 tricks because you have no queen or jack or 10 or anything that can get promoted, right? All right, so if you are going to hold your losers in that suit to just 2, what do? Well, you may not like it, but you get yourself into your hand here and you lead toward that king, right? And it's a 50-50 proposition. Either the ace lies over here to the left of the dummy or it doesn't, right? If this person, and so when you lead toward, right, either they fly up with their ace and then you get to play a small one and your king has become a winner, or they play small, which is normally the right thing to do for a defender, right? To play second hand low, and you play the king and hope that they have played second hand low and that your king holds the trick and that you get one winner out of that suit, right? Excuse me. So, because of that, that's why I want you in the habit of always leading toward your honors. But, if we have a situation here where, okay, you have the ace. Yeah, is anything going to change in this situation? Doesn't matter whether you lead small toward your king or bang down your ace and then lead small toward your king. Yeah, that's probably not going to matter,
doesn't it
right?
help that 4-0 combination?
Well, but the thing is, if so sometimes, sometimes what what you want to do is you want to lay down an honor first, because sometimes if a suit breaks badly, you can recover from it, right? Like if you have, let's say a situation like this. So you're in a 4-4 fit, and you've got the ace, king, and queen. Now you're missing the jack. Okay. Well, if they break 3-2, you have no concerns, right? The jack is going to fall no later than the 3rd round of the suit. So by the time you play ace, king, and queen, you're fine, right? Could this be a problem when the suit breaks 4-1? Yes, but could you maybe do something about that?
Sure.
If it's on the side that you're finessing toward.
Okay, so if
Which way?
So if this is the situation, what is the correct way to play this suit to guard against a 4-1 break?
On the king, make one of those a 9 So then you can finesse either way.
Well, that's different. We're going to talk about that in a little bit because now it becomes a different type of finesse, right?
Okay, but you wanna lead your ace to see if it breaks really ugly, and then you can figure out your finesse.
Yeah, but if you lead your ace and somebody shows out, then you're getting the 5-0 break and you're going to lose a card in that suit, right? Okay. Let's say you lead your ace first, and this person follows small, and this person follows small. Is there still potential for a loser in that suit?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Because you don't know yet whether you're getting a 4-1 break. All you know is that you're not getting a 5-0 break, and you are missing the jack. All right, when you play the second round of the suit, after you play your ace and you see them both follow, what do you do next?
I would play the king.
Okay, or you're in your hand, so you play small to
Yeah,
the king,
yeah.
right? So you play your small one and put in the king. Why is that the correct way to play the suit combination?
Because you can still finesse.
Because you have the 10, right? So if it's this person that has 1 card in the suit and this person over here that has 4, therefore they started with jack 4th, you can avoid losing a trick in that suit, can't you? And this is what we call a marked finesse, right? Once your left-hand opponent shows out, you know what you're supposed to do, right? So you play to the king and you're in the dummy, and now this person is left with jack doubleton, but you are left with queen 10. And so you play small from the dummy, and if they play jack, you play queen. If they play small, you play 10, right? Notice that if you had played your ace and then your queen, you have lost the ability to do this, haven't you? Now they're going to get their jack. You can't pick it up. You've promoted it. And so that's why you want to be careful about how you play your suit combination there. And make sure that you play it in a manner that you have the option to pick up the missing card if it splits 4-1. Now, let's look at the scenario where those holdings are flipped, right? Let's say you play the ace, and then you play small to your king. This person follows small both times, and then this person shows out on your right on the second round. Can you pick up the jack now?
No.
No, you can't. And we're assuming, since I didn't give you the 9, okay, so it turned out your left-handed opponent started with jack 9 4th. If you think, well, I know where the jack is, I still have queen 10. Well, if you play the 10, then this person just has to be careful to cover the jack and make sure that their 9 gets promoted into the winner instead of the jack, but it's the same winner, right? So these are our ways that you can guard against some of those less friendly breaks. So that sometimes you get a 4-1 break, and it's like, okay, well, if the suit goes off 4-1 this way, I can pick it up. If it goes 4-1 the other way, I can't. And so you play it in the manner where you could pick it up if it's 4-1 in the way you get. That's one of those, just matters of being careful with your suit combinations. Saying, okay, I can handle the break, this bad break I can handle if it goes this way, but I can't handle the same break if it goes that way. Now, back to this 8 ever, 9 never business and trying to deal with a missing queen. This will be a little trivia question for you here. All right, if we set up here in an 8-card fit that we should always finesse the queen, absent other information, because that was our best bet to not lose a trick to the queen. If we come down here to the 9-card fit, and we have everything that matters in the suit except for the queen, we just said, well, a 3-1 break is more likely than a 2-2 break. Doesn't that mean we should be finessing the queen here?
No, because sometimes your 1 is the queen.
Aha. You were ready for me on this one. Yes, it's a little deceiving because you think, oh, well, if they're not, if a 2-2 break is not the most likely scenario, then it's legitimate for us to ask the question, why don't we finesse? If there's a little greater likelihood that if we expect a 3-1 break more often than a 2-2 break, then finessing could be right when somebody has queen third, right? And so in that scenario, and we'll give you split honors here. So what if the suit looks like this? So we have ace fourth in one hand and king jack fourth in the other. Okay. Well, 8 ever, 9 never. 9 never says we play for the drop. Why? Right? We play the ace, and then we play the king. So keep in mind that when you play that ace first, your plan is, okay, I'm not going to finesse. I'm going to play for the suit to be 2-2. Well, you might play that ace, and this person might have 3 small, and your right-hand opponent might have singleton queen, right? Well, that's a break that you can handle, and you find out right away that you don't have to lose the queen. Now, it could go the other way, right? We could have a small one over here, and we could have queen third. And, of course, in that situation, if you had chosen a finesse, it would have failed anyhow, because the queen was on the wrong side. But the idea is that if we look at the likelihood of a 3-1 break, once we throw in the times that the queen is the singleton rather than in the hand with 3, probability-wise, it ends up being almost identical to a 2-2 break. And so that's where we get our 9 never. That's why we go ahead and play for the drop most of the time, because it is about the same. What you're playing, what you're playing for is either 2-2 or singleton queen is what you're playing for. And so once we put both of those possibilities into the mix, we end up being at about 50% anyhow. Not too bad, right? What about a 10-card fit? We haven't talked about the 10-card fit yet.
Winning the lottery.
Well, it happens.
I like that one.
All right, if you're in a 10-card fit, do you worry if you're missing the queen? You shouldn't. The opponents only have 3, right? And so if we're in a 10-card fit missing a queen, well, remember, there's only a couple of ways that missing 3 cards that they can divide, right? Either they're 3-0 or they're 2-1. And of course, they could be 3-0 or 2-1 with either opponent, which could matter. Where's my... No, I didn't write down my percentages. A 3-0, I don't know. A 3-0 break is pretty uncommon in this holding. It's a very, very strong likelihood of a 2-1 break. So we don't worry about the queen in that situation, because it's almost always going to drop. Now, on the rare occasion that we get a 3-0 break, we may or may not be able to do anything about it. Depends which person holds the queen, right? So if we're in a 10-card fit, similar to the situation we just looked at, this time holding 10 cards in the suit, again, we always want to play the ace first, not the king, right? Why? Because in the rare event that we get the 3-0 break, if it's queen third over here, as long as we have played the ace first, when this person shows out and gives us the news, we now have the marked finesse that we talked about, right? Oh, okay. Know what's going on in this suit.